Hi, my name is Christian Blackburn, and in this YouTube video I'll be discussing the pros and cons of using solar energy compared to typical sources of energy like fossil fuels and other sorts of energy sources throughout the United States. To start this video, I'll be going over a few of the topics that I plan on discussing throughout the rest of it. Some of these include the pros and cons of each side of using solar panels, the expenses, the property that it'll take up. Another part of the video will be the conclusion. I'll go over some calls to action, some frequently asked questions, and I'll wrap it up with an overview of what I've gone over so far. While discussing each of the pros and cons for using solar energy as a source for the United States, I'll be going over why I chose each pro and con for each side of the argument. I'll also go over where I got each source of information and why I believe it to be relevant. In order to gain a little more traction for each side of each argument, I'm also going to add supporters who may be people you know, who may be people you don't know, and if it's someone new that you haven't recognized, you may be able to even go and do your own research to see why they support for or against using solar energy. I'll also go over things like frequently asked questions, why it's expensive, why people would want to or not want to use solar energy, and I'll also go over things like how much it would cost, stuff like that. The last goal that I have for this video is to be able to present you with all this information in as much of an unbiased way as possible. My goal isn't to give my opinion on each side of the argument. My goal is only to provide just the simple facts for each side and let you decide what you think is right or wrong. In the last section of this video, I'll be doing a call to action. What I mean by this is making a proposal or a resolution that would lead to beneficial outcomes for one section of the argument. One resolution that I have regarding this issue is that Congress will alter the U.S. Energy Policy Act to require each state to develop solar panels and solar plots that amount to 20% of all of the state's energy consumption. With all this being said, let's get into the first part of my video. This will be the pros for using energy such as solar panels as a replacement for things like fossil fuels and coal. To start this first section of the video off, I will be going over arguments in favor of the resolution. Finding sources that argued for the development of solar energy was much easier than finding information about the disadvantages of the same topic. There were some articles found by Taryn Halawaka hit on multiple points that seemed to appeal to multiple different audiences. Financial facts were stated in detail about how bills, taxes, and rebates could be more helpful than using traditional fossil fuels. There were points that were also made about how solar energy is significantly healthier for the environment that is now being used compared to what was being used across the globe. Another reason that solar energy is becoming more popular is because the sun is a nearly limitless source of energy that can be accessed from anywhere on the earth at one time or another. It would take about 10 million acres of land, or only about 0.4% of the area in the United States, to allow enough space for solar photovoltaics. Another reason that solar energy is becoming a more popular source of energy in the United States is because the sun is nearly limitless and can be accessed from anywhere on the earth at one time or another. It would take about 10 million acres of land, or only about 0.4% of the area of the United States, to allow enough space for solar energy to supply all of our nation's electricity. According to energy.gov, solar panel installation costs are also way down. The cost of solar panel installation is less than $3 a watt, a whopping 65% decrease from $8.50 per watt 10 years ago. New solar technologies are also capturing more and more of the sun's rays. The National Renewable Energy Laboratory has created 6 junction cellular cells that convert 47% of the captured sunlight into electricity. By comparison, most commercially available modules convert less than 20%. Another reason that solar is so helpful nowadays is because it can help restart the grid if it goes down. Typically, a signal from a spinning turbine, like the one from a coal or natural gas plant, is required to set the beat of the grid. Now, DOE research is supporting advanced solar systems that can take the lead, restarting the grid if no spinning turbine is available. Solar has also been one of the top 3 new sources of generation added to the grid in the last 7 years. In fact, according to energy.com, solar provides 30% of the new electricity produced in the United States in 2019, up from just 4% in 2010. One of the more subtle reasons that solar is becoming so popular is because it helps the economic engine in the United States. About 250,000 people work in the United States solar industry. These days, there are more than 100,000 solar businesses around the country. Solar costs have also fallen dramatically. The cost of an average-sized residential solar energy system decreased by 55% between 2010 and 2018, from $40,000 to $18,000. And that's before factoring in incentives like the solar investment tax credit. The DOE is also focusing on reducing financial burdens and red tape for American families who choose to go solar. Basically, solar panels are manufactured products that take significantly less energy to fabricate than when they produce over their lifetimes. Now, one of the more obvious reasons why solar power is good for the United States is because it's also good for the environment. The most commonly known fact about solar energy is that it represents a clean, green source of energy. According to greenmatch.com.uk, solar power is a great way to reduce your carbon footprint. There's nothing about solar power that pollutes Mother Nature. It also doesn't release any greenhouse gases except for its need of a source of clean water to function. It does not need any other resources. Hence, it's safe and environmentally friendly. Yet, for some reason, people are still in doubt. Solar power is self-sufficient, and installing solar panels on your roof is a safe and easy path to contribute to a sustainable future. Starting on your home is a great way to show that you care for the environment. With the exception of installation and maintenance, solar power is generally a free source of energy. The sun provides us with more energy than we could ever use, and no one will monopolize the sunlight. Your solar power system will start saving money from the moment you turn it on. However, the advantages of solar power are visible in the long term. The longer you have solar power in your system, the more you enjoy the benefits of solar technology and supporting the environment. Aside from solar electricity, solar energy has a second application. We often associate solar energy with electricity, which is acquired through PV panels, but it's also possible to use the energy generated by the sun for heating purposes. This process is accomplished by deploying solar thermal systems that simply convert the sunlight into heating solutions. Now, this wouldn't be an interesting video if I didn't produce the disadvantages of solar energy. One disadvantage is a high upfront cost. The large upfront cost is one of the biggest drawbacks of why people don't use solar panels more often. As of January 2022, according to solarreviews.com, the average cost of solar in the United States is about $3 per watt. So, a 6 kilowatt solar panel system would run you about $18,000 on average. Not everyone can afford this, and this is before the federal tax credit is applied. The actual cost of a solar system will vary by state and by incentives that you qualify for. Luckily, there are a few solar financing options available, but in many cases, you may not qualify for a zero-down solar loan, which would or would not allow you to save money on your electric bill. Another drawback of solar energy that, unfortunately, it's an intermittent energy source. What I mean by this is that there are three main reasons why solar is considered intermittent. The first is that the sun doesn't always shine. Sometimes the weather will be different, and there's always the chance that it's going to be nighttime, so you won't be able to collect sun if there's no sun out for the collection. Therefore, solar panels won't generate power at night. The intensity of the sun also varies based on the location, time of year, and the time of day. Now, there's also weather to take into account. Cloud, snow, foliage cover, and other outside effects could change the amount of energy produced by solar panels. There are a lot more other outside factors that have been used to argue that solar power cannot be relied on for the base load or mission-critical applications. However, this could be changing with the emergence of cost-effective battery solutions. Now, another issue with solar panels is that they require a lot of space. Solar panels require space in order to meet energy needs. For residential installations, a roof will always most likely be the place to store it. However, you could look at a large grid-scale solar installations. Space can be a bit of an issue. This is because solar panels have a lower power density. Power density is much power that can be derived from an energy source within a certain area, measured in watts per square meter. However, the power density of solar panels is low compared to those of fossil fuels. This means that you need a larger area of solar panels in order to produce the same amount of energy that coal would. However, the amount of land was mined for fossil fuels is not considered in this measurement. You also are not able to take solar with you. One of the major disadvantages of installing solar panels is that your home is stationary, and that it can be expensive to move them should you decide to move. The net metering agreement with your utility is fixed to the property according to solarreviews.com. Also, finding someone to remove and reinstall your solar panels can be costly. But solar panels do add to the value of your home, so even if you do move, there's a possibility that you are likely to see the value of your solar panels reflect in a higher sale price. Unfortunately, there are also some dark sides to the manufacturing that has some environmental impact. While power that solar panels generate is emission-free, it's important to note that there is some pollution associated with the manufacturing of these solar panels. Some solar panels contain harmful pollutants, like sulfur hexafluoride, which is more potent than carbon dioxide. However, the impact of carbon dioxide on the climate is much greater than that of sulfur hexafluoride. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this YouTube video. I hope you learned about the pros and cons of solar energy in the United States. I hope I answered some of your frequently asked questions. And I hope you go and do your own research and determine if this is something that you think you would either do or not do with your home. With solar energy changing the way the United States has been lately, I hope you learned something new today. Thank you.